Indigenous leaders from across the Northern Territory are banding together to call on the Gunner government to reject Canberra's push to lift the NT's fracking moratorium. They've gathered in the remote town of Elliott to develop a strategy to try and convince the NT government that the risks would outweigh the benefits. Jane Bardon reports from Elliott, 700 kilometres south of Darwin.
In 40-degree heat, Indigenous leaders from across the Territory called on the NT government not to lift its moratorium on fracking and instead ban it permanently.
Ban fracking! When do we want it? Now!
We come all the way from Bardon to stand in solidarity with these mob from Mellor and Elliott because we all want to stop the fracking.
They called on the government not to give in to Commonwealth pressure to develop gas and threats to withhold GST from the Territory.
This is the message to Prime Minister. Prime Minister needs to be educated first within our rights and within our dreamings.
The Northern Territory government needs to know that the people are against it and that they should put us in the forefront of this ugly fight.
Their key concern is over plans to drill through the Territory's interlinked water aquifers to the gas below.
I'll get poison and it'll be bad for the country.
The companies are adamant that won't happen.
And there is no systemic environmental impacts or impacts to groundwater and drinking water.
I don't believe that. That is rubbish. That is not true. Because it will destroy us.
The NT government is trying to reassure the public its decision will be guided by a scientific inquiry's recommendations later this month. But remote residents are worried because the inquiry's interim report in July said there were no permanent lakes in the Elliott area except in very wet years.
One of those most glaring errors has been the assertion that there isn't permanent surface water here in the Beetaloo region.
In response to questions about the inquiry panel's water assessment, the Chair, Justice Rachel Pepper, has provided the ABC with a statement saying anecdotal evidence provided to the panel does suggest Lake Woods and the Longreach waterhole contain water for extended periods.
The lake is it's got a lot of water in it now, and it sort of hold the water for the whole season.
Remote residents feel they haven't been properly heard, particularly in consultations carried out on behalf of the inquiry by private companies.
It was more like one-sided to make us persuade us to accept the fracking in our country.
The consultants say residents' views were recorded, but in response to the criticism, the inquiry has now delayed the finalisation of its social impact assessment.
Our water, our country, ban fracking!
Remote residents are determined to make sure their message cuts through. Jane Bardon, ABC News, Elliott.